Mm. Hello, good afternoon. Mm, like they are moving. Good afternoon. Onye brother, good afternoon, sir.
You're mute, Abel. You're
Yeah,
muted.
yeah, yeah. So I think we can start now. I don't know if you people have posted it on your status, so send it to people you want to send to. Okay.
Yeah.
So I think we can just start since it's being recorded, so people that will join late can always revisit it. How many people have joined? Okay, so hello everyone. We are back to the second seminar for the scholarship opportunities abroad, and here we'll be having our scholars from UK, and they will be telling us about the scholarship opportunities that we have in United Kingdom, and we'll be having Shalom Azolike and Ebel Chukwuwankwo, and they'll be introducing themselves well when they start talking. So I don't need to introduce them yet. And I would also want to remind us that we should try to pay keen attention to whatever they have to tell us so that if you have any questions to ask them, you will know what exactly to ask. You will know their field in case if you really need to ask them question in that field, you would know what exactly to ask them about. Also, don't forget to write your questions in the comment section in the YouTube channel, and we'll also drop their their maybe the Twitter and LinkedIn or whatsoever link they have. So you could also follow them, and don't forget to follow us on African Scholarship Pathway. And also, I'll also drop my own link so you could also follow my page on Facebook, on Twitter, and also on LinkedIn. So just keep on checking the comment section, or maybe after this section, we'll just drop all the links you need to follow. Don't forget to follow it so you could get updates on whatever opportunities that comes up. Okay, so we will be starting now, and I would like to hand over to Shalom so she could lead us to what she has for us.
Ah, okay. Hi everybody. Um, it's a privilege to be having this discussion with you guys today, and thank you, Princess, for finding me worthy to share in this regard. Thank you to everybody that has joined this meeting, and I hope that even as the meeting progresses, that whatever questions that you've had will be answered, and then you will get more knowledge about scholarship opportunities in the UK. So my name is Shalom Azodike, and I did my bachelor's in medical laboratory sciences at the University of Nigeria, Nsukka, and I'm currently doing a master's in disease mechanisms and therapeutics at Brunel University, London, under the Commonwealth Shared Scholarship. So I started my program in September last year. It's a 1 year program, so I'm currently like at the last days or last phase of my program, and it's been such a good and exciting program. Yeah, so we're going to be talking about scholarships in the UK, and I just want to say that it's like a ton of scholarship opportunities available for postgraduate studies in the UK. There's like a whole lot. And the thing is that many people don't know about it. And then even people that know about scholarship opportunities, they just maybe have this mindset that it's for some certain set of people, and that no matter how much they try, they'll never get a scholarship and all of that. I had a personal experience because I remember talking to like one or two people after I got the scholarship, after I received my award. And then they were like, they've heard about Commonwealth scholarship before, but they don't know one person in flesh that has actually gotten the scholarship. So it's just like, okay, so this thing is actually real. And so I just hope that this session just enlightens you to see that these scholarships are available and they are up for grabs. The people that will apply and get the scholarship will just come over to the UK and then they'll be giving stuff life. We'll be paying them to the UK. Yeah, so yeah, we will just start by. I want to say that there is something. Okay, so scholarships, and I will just say like general scholarships and some specific scholarships. So what I mean by general scholarships is these scholarships are open to a large number of nationalities. So people from India, people from Ghana, Nigeria, Pakistani can apply to the scholarship, and then they are actually they work in collaboration with a lot of universities in the UK, say about 40 or 50 universities, or even up to 60, collaborate with these scholarship programs to offer courses to students to come over and study in school. That's why I just think them general scholarships because they're like broad in orientation. And the British Council is like an international um, okay, it sponsors international relationships to enhance cultural realities and educational opportunities um, in the UK and across internationally. And as part of their like scheme, they offer three major scholarships, which is the Commonwealth Scholarship, Chevening Scholarships, and the Great Scholarship. So I am a Commonwealth scholar, and I feel like almost everybody has heard about Commonwealth scholarships before or the Chevening scholarships more than the Great Scholarship, which is good. It's a good thing. Actually, these scholarships are fully funded where they take care of your visa fees, your etiquette, your health insurance. They even pay you to live in the UK. It's like it's like they literally just tell you, just pack your bag, put them inside, just pack your bag, enter the plane, and then come to the UK, and then we'll be paying you to actually school and just live in the UK. So just pack everything and come because every single thing is actually paid for. So yeah, it's fully funded. But I think the Great Scholarship is partially funded. So maybe that's why. And it's being run by a lesser number of universities. So I guess that's why it is not widely known. So they literally just set apart some of the last time I checked was like £10,000. So they award £10,000 to the successful applicants to take care of like maybe part of their tuition. So if your tuition is like £15,000, they give you like £10,000, and then you just have to sort out £5,000 and your living expenses. Other scholarships, other general scholarships that I will call them, are like the PTDF scholarship. It's the Petroleum Technology Development Fund scholarship, and I think this is being available to Nigerians, and so it's more like a partnership with the Nigerian government with the Nigerian government with the UK, France, I think Germany. But for today's session, we're just talking about like its relationship with the UK. PTDF is also a fully funded scholarship, so they take care of every single bill. Everything is taken care of. So it's literally to just pack your bags and come over to the UK, and then they take care of everything, and then they actually pay you too. There is another scholarship, it's called the Alan and Nesta Ferguson Scholarship. That one is also not broadly known to because it's not so they're applicable in a lesser number of schools, but still I think quite a reasonable number of schools offer the Alan and Nesta Ferguson Scholarship. Or the slots are usually fewer than you have in the Commonwealth or Chevening Scholarship. So for the Nesta scholarship, you could just have like one slot or two slots for the whole session. While like for the Commonwealth, you can have like per school, you can have like 5, 8, 9, just depends. And then this is running like see 50 universities anyway. So yeah, for the Alan and Nesta scholarships, they to offer a fixed amount of money. So I think last year it was like £32,000. So what they do is that they offer the successful applicant like there's 30 or £32,000. These prices are not these rates are not fixed anyways. It just depends on inflation rate and the cost of living at the time. And then they offer it to the candidate, to the applicant, and if your school fees is say £20,000, then you have the remaining as part of your living expense. If your school fees is like £28,000, you have the remaining £2,000 as part of your living expenses. So plan and Lester Ferguson scholarship. There's also the Erasmus Mundus scholarship, but that is like for countries in Europe. It's a joint master's program, so it's not specific to the UK. So it's a 2 years master, it's a 2 year master's program where like scholars will like navigate around 2 or 3 universities in Europe. So maybe they have like their first 6 months in a university in the UK, the next 6 months you go to university in Greece, next 6 months you go to their internships. So you just sometimes what's something similar.
I think your voice is cracking.
Can you hear me clearly now? It's not clear.
It's still cracking. I can't
It's
hear
still
you
cracking.
well. Yeah, I
Just
think okay.
I think it's my speaker, so
Okay, okay,
let me just disconnect this. Just give me
okay.
seconds.
Oh, I don't think it's from you, but she's trying to set up her speaker and she will continue.
Can you hear me?
We can hear you now. Yes.
I'm struggling to hear you. Just give me a bit.
Can you hear me now? It's better now.
I
Can you hear me?
can hear you, but um,
You said?
just give me some seconds.
Okay.
Can you hear me?
Yes, very well.
Okay, so I think we're just going to do this. So I think my
Okay.
speaker is so
Okay.
just am I clear?
Yes.
Okay. So oh, where did I even stop? So I was talking about the Alan and Nesta. Okay, no, I was talking about Erasmus Mundus scholarship. So that is not restricted to schools in the UK. So it's like a tour around Europe kind of. And these are like some of the scholarships that I would say are general scholarships in some sense because they are applicable to much more schools and they are not like specific to a particular university in the UK. Now, I just want to say that there's a central theme with all these scholarships that I've mentioned, or at least with like about three of them, 3 to 4 of them, you will need to do some writing, some essay writing when you're making your application. And I know many people don't like to write essays. I did not like to write essays, and it was so much a struggle for me because, in fact, I think the first time I didn't apply to Commonwealth, it was because I was like, why do you need to accept my essay writing? Why do you have to write so much essays before I can get a scholarship? Like, is that really necessary? So you will need to write, and writing is an essential part of your graduate school application and your graduate school journey. Even when you get in, you still need to continue writing. So, I mean, there's no better time to start practicing anyway. So, the central thing in the scholarships are around they want to access your ability to give back to the society through volunteering, community service. They want to see how you they want to access your leadership qualities and your ability to impact the society, your community. They want to actually see how much progress or like what you can contribute to like the sustainable developmental goals. Um, yeah, so these are the basic things, like the central thing in most of the essay questions that you'll be writing. And they also want to access like your personal motivation. So it's not that maybe they're just applying to scholarship just to leave the country and then you cannot answer the questions because they want to know like why are you applying to this school? Why did you choose this course? Why are you applying to the UK? So all these things are essential part of your application process. Now, for the Commonwealth scholarship, so they're like 4 or 5 like sub schemes in the Commonwealth scholarship. So you have the Commonwealth Shared Scholarship for masters. You have the Commonwealth Master Scholarship for masters. You have the Commonwealth PhD scholarship. Your PhD could be either you're spending your full 3 years in the UK, or there's something called split site where you do like part of the program in one country and then you complete your program in the UK, or you start out in the UK and then you move to another Commonwealth country, I think, to complete your program. And then there's the Queen Elizabeth Commonwealth Scholarship, which is, we might not really talk about that today because your university would have to be in South Africa, and then it's for 2 years. So Commonwealth scholarships, master scholarships in the UK are just for 1 year full-time taught program. And yeah, so you just need to check like their website. They have official websites to note like the important details for your eligibility, application, things to know when you're applying because the great thing is that they have specific times they open every year. So for the Commonwealth Masters, I think in September, it opens up and then closes in October. And then the Commonwealth Shared opens in November and closes in December. These two scholarships are these two schemes are for masters. So and um, they don't have the same application process, anyways. Even though the essay prompts are the same, but then for the Commonwealth Shared, you have the which I'm a beneficiary. You will have the opportunity to apply to like as many courses in as many schools as you want. So you can apply to 10 courses in 10 schools before the application deadline. Like you're free to do that. If you have the strength and you have the willpower to go through those applications, good for you because the more applications you make, the more your chances, anyways. And then for the Commonwealth Masters, you have to apply to a nominating body and then you just have like 3 schools and 3 courses. That's like your maximum. So first of all, you apply to your country's nominating body, and then you're just limited to 3 schools and 3 courses. So it's I mean, and you can also apply for the two scholarship schemes at the different times you open. Nothing is stopping you from applying for the Commonwealth Masters and the Commonwealth Shared Scholarship. It just makes your chances more it just makes them better. And the Commonwealth PhD, just go through the site, look at the details. I think they would require you to submit a research proposal as part of the application. But I feel like if you've gotten to that stage where you need to do that, you should know like what a research proposal entails. And Yeah, that's for that. And I think you would need a master's before applying for your PhD, for Commonwealth PhD. I'm not really sure about that, but I'll check that out before we are done like with this discussion. Yes, so the Chevening Scholarship, which I know many of us would have heard about, is also like a scholarship scheme from the British Council. Um, it's also a fully funded scholarship program. 1 year Toastmasters, everything, your bills are taken care of. You would also need to write essays too, like I said. And even though the Commonwealth, the essay prompts are more than what you have for Chevening, because you can have like up to 10 or 11 essay prompts for Commonwealth. Yeah, but it's not like it's not so much of a big deal because they're not like 500 words. Maybe one prompt will have 75 words, the other prompt will have 150 words. But for the Chevening, they have like four prompts, and then I think you have like a maximum of like 500 words per prompt. So it's still some bit of writing. And what you also need to do is to check out their websites and take note of their application dates. Oh, for Chevening too, there's like a caveat that you need like 2 years work experience before you apply. And that is not like to scare you off because actually your 2 years experience can count from volunteering, community service, internships, part-time work while you're in school. So for me, who did a 5 year course, and well, as part of my program, I had to go to the teaching hospital and from like my third year. And then after my program, I had like a 1 year compulsory internship. If I wanted to apply for Chevening, I think that by the time I added up my hours, it would have been very, very close to the 2 years time frame or like hours. So it does not mean you must leave 2 years after your graduation. If you've had like a year where you went for your IT or you did internships, just calculate all the hours and somehow they will add up. Yeah, that's like the caveat for the Chevening scholarship, and also open to a wide number of people. But the Commonwealth Masters, after you submit your application, you will need to pass through an interview stage. As in Nigeria, you have to move to Abuja to have the interview and then wait till you're selected. And for the Chevening scholarship, you also need to pass through an interview stage where you would now wait for your decision. For the PTDF scholarship that is exclusive to Nigerians, I think I don't you won't need to write so much essays like for the Commonwealth and the Chevening, but I think you also need to sit for an interview, whether an oral interview or computer-based interview. You need to do something like that so before you are selected to move to the next stage. So look up the requirements on the website. You also need to have completed your NYSC for the PTDF. So if you don't have your NYSC discharge certificate, it's like a disqualification for you. The Alan and Nesta Ferguson scholarships, you will need to do some writing too, though maybe not as elaborate as the Commonwealth or Chevening, but you will need to do some writing because it's not like they have money to waste. They want to access that you're the right candidate. You're somebody that is valuable. It's worth it. Like you're worth it. You're going to like be what's the investment. Let me just put it that way. So it's not like you just submit your application and then you just do a random selection probability and say, okay, this person, the lot has fallen on this person, so we can pick person. You need to access your application. So yeah, you need to do some writing, and they also have different time frames for different universities. So it's not like Commonwealth that is like that by December, by mid-December, it's closing for all participating schools. The, the website just closes. You can't submit an application. For Chevening too, I think in November it just ends. You can't submit it. For PTDF is like that. But for Alan and Nesta, I think like the different schools, like um no, Birmingham University doesn't participate in that, but let's just say University of London can open up their Alan and Nesta slots from January to March or from January to February. Another participating school can open theirs from February to March. So it just differs across like the different schools. So what you might need to do if you're interested in that is to, like maybe there are people that post regular updates about scholarship and stuff like that on social media. So you may just need to follow them. So as they release their videos, you're like, I'm aware. Or still, you could just do a random Google search and check for the participating institutions and just mark out their timeline so that you are right in time. Um, yeah, so you would need to also be frequent on these websites. Keep checking. The good thing is that, like I said, they have fixed dates where they when they open and close, so you can prepare yourself ahead of time. You're not just waiting. There are people that have already started writing their essays for Commonwealth that is opening in September. So by September, you just make the application. I mean, these scholarships are highly, highly competitive. So you need to be ready. It will not come upon you by chance. So just do your research, go to the websites of these scholarships, start getting your documents ready. I don't think getting your documents right in time would ever be a disadvantage for you. So even if you get your documents like 1 year before, it will never be a disadvantage for you. So start getting your document, start writing your essays. Let these essays not faze you because there are a lot of resources online on how to go about writing these essays. Like I said initially, I didn't like the idea that I had to write an essay for like let me just try my personal statement. That is enough for me. Okay, Mark, statement of purpose. Let me just try these things and it should be enough. I mean, I'm pouring out my heart and saying why I chose this course and my motivations. I just wanted to talk about maybe talk about developmental goals and all these. I just feel like it was a lot. But um what I did, which is another point I want to make, is that when you're interested in any of these scholarships, go to maybe LinkedIn, search out people that have been awarded. You will see it. Everybody, most people like to blow their trumpets on YouTube, on LinkedIn. Let me say everybody, most people. And some people just like to put out their achievements out there. So you would rarely see somebody that is an awardee for PTBF, not put it on his profile. Like it's very, very scarce because people will always do that. So you can connect with these people on social media, especially LinkedIn, ask your questions. And no, I don't think anybody will want to like withhold or gatekeep knowledge about how to go about the scholarship from you. What I did was that I think because I wanted to apply to in a particular school, I was kind of confused about the process, and I think I also need someone to just look at my essays for me before I submitted. So I just went to LinkedIn, typed this biotechnology, this university, Commonwealth. I saw somebody, and then I went to her DM. I shared what I wanted to do and the questions I had, and she told me that she might not be able to help me look at my essays, but then I should go to this person's YouTube page. I should look at this person's page, and then if I finish writing my essays and then like I still have questions, she might still review it for me. And I just went to this person's page, and it was his resources I used to write my essays. Like I didn't even need to come. Of course, I came back to her, and she didn't have time to like review it. But that was not like the point. The point was like she directed me to somebody that helped me write my essays. I wrote my essays in like 2 weeks. Yes, okay, maybe I've had some experience like applying to postgraduate school, like but not in the UK. Maybe that's what made me like a little better with writing. But I had never written the Commonwealth essays before. And some people start preparing for this scholarship from like January, some people from February, because by now the people that applied last year, they already know their fate. They know whether, okay, for most people, they know whether they are going up or they are not, they didn't get the scholarship. So they're already preparing for the next application cycle. And just imagine you just starting like that same time when every some people that have written the essays before, and it's just a whole lot of competition. So if you have a scholarship in mind, do your rights, do some search about it, and go on social media and find people that have been awarded. They will surely want to like teach you or show you how to go about it, and you surely like find some way out of it. Yeah, I think we've probably talked about everything. So don't be afraid about making a step. You never know how far you can get. Just make the decision, and the scholarship is open. It's open. They don't keep it for a certain people. If you apply, you meet the application eligibility criteria, your documents are solid, they give it to you. And then you come over to the UK and then like you'll be in the class with somebody that maybe this is not like, I mean, some people don't know about this opportunities, but you'll be studying with people that are paying for their school fees. And you are not, you didn't pay for the school fee. It's literally just you pack your bags and come. And then like it gives you this, I mean, it just gives you this sense of it makes you, I don't know, but it does something to you, like you actually then find out that okay, this is something that I it's a privilege, actually, it's a privilege, and you wouldn't have had this experience if you did not believe in yourself enough to try. So don't think that they are reserved for a specific number of people. Just shoot your shot, and then the whole cycle of, even if you don't get selected the first time, it just sharpens you up for the next applications. And trust me, once you start looking out for scholarships in the UK, you see like 1,000. You may just start with the cover of a scholarship. Maybe it didn't work out the first time. Like suddenly you find out about this scholarship, this or that scholarship, this or that scholarship, and it just makes you a better applicant. Yes, thank you so much. I think I'm exhausted when I have here, but I'm open to questions at the
No,
end of
no,
like.
no, you didn't. You didn't. Thank you so much, Sharon. Like you really dropped so much information for us. I would also encourage us to just put our questions online in the comment section in case if you have any question that you would want to ask her. That will be answered maybe after the second speaker. But there's something I would just want to that I got from what she stressed it severally. She talked about if you really know you want to go into or further your academics abroad, you just have to have a presence online. Just maybe LinkedIn at least, even if you're not on Twitter, but at least I think you should have at least LinkedIn and Twitter if you know you want to further your academics anywhere abroad because you will be getting information there from scholars. So I think okay.
Yeah, I just want to say that if 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 you don't mind, maybe I could share like some accounts that you can follow on LinkedIn, I think Twitter, Instagram, and these people just regularly post updates about scholarship opportunities. So
I
it can
think
help you because when you follow this,
okay.
that in your feed,
Okay,
yeah.
you could send it to me so we just post it on the YouTube comment section. Then they could just, yeah, follow it from there. But thank you so much. You just have to have a presence online, either on LinkedIn, at least LinkedIn, because you would always see academic folks there that are always willing to drop. And one thing about it is that once you contact those people or you send them a mail or a message, you see that they are willing to help someone you know from nowhere, but the person is willing to help, knowing that someone also helps such a person. So just the first thing, if you don't have anything doing with LinkedIn, if you are just on maybe Instagram or all those things, just know that if you want to go and further your academics, you just have to go into LinkedIn and then maybe you add Twitter to it and others you want to. Then another thing she talked about is writing, like she really stressed it. If you really want to go into any scholarship like Commonwealth and the likes, you just have to start learning how to write. And I don't think that's a big deal if you put your mind in it. There are many informations there, both on LinkedIn, on Google, wherever you want to search. Why we always stress LinkedIn is that you get the genuine information. Google can have maybe vast something that you will have to be moving here and there. But once you go to LinkedIn, you are getting it from people that already have this experience. So, in case if you really want to go into this, you just have to start now to make advances, reach out to people, look into what others have done, and see what it entails and what you really need to do. Because anywhere you're applying for scholarship, you just have to put in the work. If someone should help you to write all these essays, there's a point where you have to, I think there's a point where you have to maybe have an oral interview or some things you have to say. And if you are not in it, you wouldn't be able to maybe say something about yourself like someone that really have this originally. So, and another thing that she really stressed on is making sure that you have your original documents because I know some people will just go and pay someone and maybe you get a particular document or something. Make sure that any document you're submitting for these stores are real because these people will go deep into searching to know more about you to be sure that this person I'm trying to invest in is really the person he or she says he is or she is. So I think you really have to make, and then the last thing I think I got from it, apart from others, is that you just have to start getting experiences, leadership or whatever experience. But I don't need to go deep into it. For I think I also have a question, but I think I'll ask it at the end. So thank you so much, Shalom. I really appreciate. That's really a big knowledge you've invested in us. I want to invite Abel to also come and tell us what he has for us. I heard some people can't hear me. I don't know if you can hear me now. Please, can you drop it on the comment section? I don't know. That's fine. Can I hear me now? Okay, so Abel, please, can you come up? Thank you very much. Can you hear me?
Hello.
Okay, okay.
All right. I
Yeah.
think my earphone is going to be a challenge. All right. Good evening, everyone. It's a pleasure to be with us this evening. Special appreciation to the coordinator of this platform, Mrs. Princess, for inviting us. Like Shalom said, for counting us worthy. No, really. Thank you very much. Shalom, thank you very much also for that wonderful session. It was very detailed and very insightful. And I'm sure it's going to be very helpful to as many as are interested in those scholarship opportunities. Okay. Okay, I'm supposed to introduce myself first. My name is Abel. Abel Nwankwo. I finished from the University of Nigeria, Nsukka, in 2019. I think I like to say 2021 now. I studied religion and public administration, combined honors, and I'm currently doing my MSc, concluding my MSc in religious studies at the University of Edinburgh in Scotland. Okay. Let me begin by saying that when it has to do with scholarship opportunities in the UK, I think it's quite a bit different from what, not entirely different, but in many ways there is a lot of uniqueness when it has to do with applying to the UK compared to some other places like the US or Canada. Or I think every country has certain elements that just distinguishes it from the other in terms of their processes, their requirements, the expectations, and all of that. So toward the end of the talk, I'm going to be emphasizing a little bit on the scholarship opportunities that you have access to from schools and institutions that are not necessarily the ones that Shalom emphasized during her session. Those kinds of opportunities are actually more popular or more prominent in a place like the USA, where many schools have graduate school funding in one way or the other. They are giving you the scholarship fully, or they pay your tuition and you work with them as a teaching assistant or a graduate assistant or something like that. Graduate school is almost structured to be funded, fully funded or funded in one way or the other in the USA. But it's not exactly like that here in the UK. Here in the UK, I think I would say opportunities are not as vast as they are in the USA in terms of funding, but there are still opportunities. Okay, and for many of us that are from Nigeria, we often do not know beyond just the more popular ones, like the Chevenings and the Commonwealth scholarships and the PTDF, which is localized to us or particular to us in Nigeria, and the others that Shalom mentioned. In case you missed that session, please do well to go back to the recording. Okay, but there are also opportunities that schools offer, and many persons are not aware of it. So I'll be talking about how to search out such opportunities and assess them, because that's the kind of scholarship I'm studying. I'm studying on the funding from my school, from my faculty, or I should say my department, particularly. Okay. Let me talk a little bit about some of the peculiar requirements or the peculiarities as regards application requirements in the UK, and I'll be contrasting it with the US. I think I'm a bit more familiar with US requirements than other places. If you have questions about some countries, maybe some countries in Europe, maybe Netherlands, Belgium, I should have some information, but I'm not sure to what extent. Okay, I'm not sure to what extent, but I'll just be contrasting the UK requirements and the US. And then if you have any questions that fall outside the boundary of these two, then we'll see how to address it. So Shalom has already talked about the need to begin to train yourself to write. For example, if you are an undergraduate listening, this is the best time you have to begin to develop your writing skills, academic writing skills. I know some persons can write, but academic writing is quite a different ballgame. So it will do you a lot of good, for example, if you're an undergraduate and you decide to put in more critical effort into your, let's say, your project, your undergraduate project, you decide to put in more critical effort into your whether 10 papers, essays, or just you could decide to take up mentorship under a lecturer you know is very good at writing academically. Not all of them are, but you can search out for the ones that are very good with academic writing to mentor you. Maybe they can give you some things to write, then they help you go through it, edit it, and all of that. It's very important. Then if you're not an undergraduate, you simply need to take out the time and learn how to. I think it's in retrospect that I really appreciated one lecturer in our department that sort of forced us to begin to get used to, reviewing journal articles as assignments, as assessments, and then introduced us to academic writing by force. And then eventually I took it up myself and all of that. So those things are very helpful, but in our Nigerian culture, universities, we like to just gloss over things. Let's just. So in West Africa, if you're coming from a part of the world, you should know that their standards here regarding academic writing is quite high. I would say in comparison, it's not the same in every school in our part of the world, but if you are to compare, the standard is much higher. So learning from early would be of great help. Then, like I said, if you're not an undergraduate, you simply need to pick up the skills. Shalom has talked about following some persons on different platforms that can help you get brushed up, reading articles, just writing and reviewing, giving to someone to check, and then you will definitely scale up. Everything that is a skill can be learned, can be improved upon, can be mastered, okay? So apart from the statement of purpose, there are certain programs that if you're applying for them, they would request for some other documents apart from even the research proposal. Let's assume you're not doing a research-based MSc. here in the UK, I think, I don't know if it's the same in the US, but they differentiate between a research-based MSc and a taught MSc. So for a taught MSc, you go to classes, take lectures, write exams in some cases, or in some cases, like in my case, I don't write any exams. All the courses I've done have all been writing-based essays as the format of assessment. But you take lectures, take assessments, and then at the end of the day, you write a dissertation. For the master's in research, you come already with a pre-planned research topic or a very well-defined research interest. And that's the kind of pathway that would make you need to have a supervisor before coming. They will assign you a supervisor and all of that. And then when you come, you are basically working on a research emphasis. So for such, you need to write a research proposal. But apart from the research proposal, if you need it, there are also some other things that may be required of you apart from your statement of purpose. I could remember when I was applying for certain courses, I wanted to do a course in public policy at some point. They had to, they asked for some kinds of write-up, not research proposal, about 2 or 3 different documents. So all these things are things that you need to learn how to write. And one thing I want to stress about making write-ups for graduate school application is that nothing is as important as the originality that they pick or that they can see in your write-up, especially when it has to do with scholarships or applying to some very big schools that are very selective in their admission process. They want to be able to feel you through your words. They want to be able to touch you even before meeting you, whether it's just through your statement of purpose or a cross-section of other writing requirements. They want to be able to know this is this person. So it's not even wise to contract it out to somebody. If you do it yourself, they're able to know you better through that. Okay, so depending on your program, they could request for many other forms of writing sample apart from the statement of purpose. So you need to learn how to write. Okay, then things about application fees. Many schools obviously request application fees when you're applying to study with them, but for some of them, as it is in the US, it's also the same here in the UK. You can get waivers for the application fees, especially if you're coming from an African country or some countries they consider economically less advantaged or so. In some cases, they may not explicitly state it that there is a waiver, but if you just happen to apply right to the school and let them know that you might not be able to pay the fee or that you want to check if there is a waiver, you may be surprised that they actually would waive the application fee for you. So don't just go ahead and pay, whatever amount. I remember I actually paid, maybe because of the schools anyway, paid outrageous application fees to schools like Oxford and Cambridge, and I got turned down, which was very painful because I spent over £150. So you can avoid that. Some schools will not, they won't have it. You must pay the fees. Okay, but for some others, like the school I'm currently in, I didn't request any application fee. I don't know if it's because of my program or just because of the school, but there wasn't any such thing in the entire application process. So there are actually schools like that. Okay, so if you don't have the funds to pay for application fees, you may want to prioritize schools that either don't request it or that would waive it for you when you request for a waiver. Then talking about things like IELTS, TOEFL, and the English language requirements, there's also a little bit of a difference. In the UK here, I think the requests, some schools will ask for either IELTS or TOEFL. Some will ask for like either of the two of them. But I've observed that here in the UK, they seem to prefer the IELTS exam to TOEFL. I think TOEFL is more popular with the US schools. But then here in the UK as well, they also accept some other forms of English language proficiency. For example, some schools could request for your WAEC certificate, your WASC, is it WASC or WAS? Not NECO. They will not accept NECO, but they can accept your English language pass, the C or B or A you got in your English language in WAEC as a standard test of English. Some other schools will accept something called a proof of instruction in English. I think every school gives it. My school gives that as part of the transcript if you request for it. So some schools will accept that in just a document that is signed from your registrar or whoever stating that your course for the duration you studied was fully instructed in English language. So, and they accept that from some countries, not all countries. They are just different specifications regarding English language proficiency from different schools. So some schools will insist you must write the IELTS. Some other schools, talking about the UK now, can admit you without requesting for any proof of instruction in English apart from IELTS, but they will demand that you write their own test to prove that you're proficient in the English language. So there are just these varieties from school to school. So depending on your school, you may come across any of these kinds of requests. So if the school you want to apply to is the type that requests IELTS, you need to prepare to write it. And of course, it's quite an expensive exam. If they do not, fine and better for you. So I would advise, if possible, because in the UK, I think there are more schools, or relative or compared to the schools that will request it compulsorily, there are many other schools that don't request it. So you can make your pick and not have to go through that hurdle. While we are hoping that they take that requirement away from us soon enough. Then the GRE, I think UK schools don't request GRE. It's a US thing. So if you want to apply to the UK, don't begin to rack your brain about how to write GRE. It's not a requirement in the UK, to the best of my knowledge. Okay, then your CV, some schools, depending on your program and depending on your school, some schools will request it, some schools will not request it. So everything I've been saying should already make you begin to see that you need to be detailed in finding out what exactly your institution or the schools you are profiling and seeking to study with, what exactly they request, so that you don't just pack up, a whole lot of things that are unnecessary, and at the end of the day, discover you wasted time or wasted resources gathering those documents. Then, yes, where to look for scholarship opportunities. Shalom has already talked about networking and following people that are very active in sharing about these opportunities and how to access them in platforms like LinkedIn, maybe Twitter. I am sort of a very independent researcher, so I used to research a lot, search like schools. I was quite particular about the schools I wanted to go to, the programs I wanted to do at some point, and all of that. So I would go and search the website by myself. But then I also joined some groups on WhatsApp, like this platform, for example, the Africa Scholarship platform or Pathway. There were a number of them that I joined like this. They didn't organize webinars for us necessarily, as we are doing now, but then they would often share opportunities, openings that you could explore. And then there was also this website I signed up to. I'm trying to recall their name now, either Scholars Intel or Scholars Region, something like that. And I signed up for their mailing list. So they would usually send emails occasionally, maybe weekly or bi-weekly. It used to come in quite frequently with a lot of opportunities. UK, Europe, US, just everywhere. And I would read through and read through and read through. Then in some cases, like the scholarship I eventually got, at the time I got it, it was even just a lecturer friend that forwarded it to me and said, can you check this out? So checked it out and I was like, wow, I didn't even know about this before now. You can imagine. So networking that's the point I'm trying to make. Is very, very important. Opportunities can come at you or come to you from anywhere, so long as you are linked up with the people that have the relevant information. Okay, okay, I think that's that about that. Then, so as I was saying, before I get into talking about searching for funding from schools, different schools particularly, let me talk about one scholarship that is very prominent here in the University of Edinburgh, where I am. The MasterCard Foundation Scholarship. You may have heard about it, or you could just go Google it online. It's a very popular scholarship, and it's particularly with the University of Edinburgh. The University of Edinburgh happens to be it's one of the biggest schools in the UK, from what I know. I don't follow all those rankings, by the way, but I think it's either the best in Scotland or the second best. So it's the big school, has good links with many funding institutions. But this particular one is particularly for African students, the MasterCard Foundation Scholarship. When you go and read up, and they give, I think, over 200 scholarships for master students, only for master students, not PhD students. When you read it up, you discover that it's something that, with a very good application, with good mentorship and guidance, is something you can actually get. It's something you can actually get, and it's fully funded. They take care of, like Shalom described, your flight ticket, your visa application. They just tell you to pack your bag and come and study your books. And it can be very sweet. Okay. But that's not even the one I got. But I decided to share it because it's one that I know African students can easily explore. Okay. So now, talking about getting or assessing opportunities that are domiciled in departments or faculties. Here, they may call them colleges or schools and all of that. When you make applications, like if you decide that this is the program I would want to do, this is where I would want to further my studies in, and then you begin to search for schools that offer those programs, don't only look for, like when you go to their pages, you now check entry requirements, eligibility, and all of those things. Don't just stop there. When you keep scrolling down, or in whatever section of the website, you discover that they have links to things like funding and fees and funding, or in whatever they may put it. If you click that section, you may be surprised at the funding offers that they have there available to whoever cares to apply. For some of them, they would automatically consider you for such awards if you qualify, or if you fall into the catchment. Like there's a reason why I wanted to go to schools like Oxford and Cambridge. They have a lot of such funding opportunities. They'll just say, oh, because you're from Africa, or you're from Nigeria, or from West Africa, you qualify automatically for this or this. They just consider you. For some others, even in those kinds of schools, you have to apply separately. They have a separate application process. So check out such sections, fees and funding, or maybe the target scholarships, and see what they have to offer. See if you need to apply, or if they will automatically consider you. Now, there are different types of funding. You could find a school that offers you full funding, either in form of taking care of everything from your visa application to flight, to then your coming and your tuition being paid, and you being put on a monthly stipend. For some others, they would offer you a monthly stipend and pay your tuition fee, and leave you to sort out your travel expenses, visa expenses. That's also, in fact, if you get that kind of scholarship in the UK, you are fully funded because the UK is, in my opinion, it's not just my opinion, it's the truth. They are much more stingy with funding compared to the US. So some others will give you a full tuition. They'll pay your fees completely, and then you will need to sort out how you get here in terms of visa and flight. And when you come, you need to be ready to work to get your living. And that is also, in the context of the UK, a fully funded scholarship, if you ask me. Because when you consider that many other persons happen to travel and then they come here and they have to work, pay their tuition and still study, for those that actually came with the plans to study, you will understand that it's quite a big privilege to have even that kind of funding. And then you see some other funding offers, like maybe a 50% scholarship. You may see something like maybe a 70% scholarship, and you sort out the rest, depending on what you can carry. You know, there you see maybe a certain amount of money, maybe out of a 20,000 or 25,000 pounds or 30,000 pounds tuition. They're offering you 5,000 pounds or 8,000 pounds. Just different kinds of offers like that, depending on what you feel you can carry. So you can search out such. There are people that have made applications, maybe because they contracted it to one agent somewhere. The person just applied, got the admission for them, didn't even know there were such fundings available, and they had to sort out the fees. Maybe their parents sponsored them, maybe they had the plans to work or something like that, and they missed out on even the little relief in terms of fees that they could have gotten from the school, because they were not meticulous enough to pay attention. So there are such opportunities. So, but you need to search, you need to look critically. And sometimes it doesn't come from the school itself. They could have institutions that are associated with them or that partner with them that provide one form of funding or the other. For such, you still see it on the school website. They may just redirect you to the website of the agency or the institution. It could be a non-governmental organization or a research body or whatever, and you look up the requirements and apply. Some of them will have their separate application processes. You may need to write 1 or 2 things, submit 1 or 2 documents, but by all means, make sure that you search through the school's fees and funding or scholarship section, and be sure that you explore any opportunities they may have for you as a student coming in to study, and that you don't miss out on it if there is any such. So I think if there's any other thing, your questions will help. One last thing, please. Not every scholarship is awarded on the basis of academic merit alone. There are scholarships that they are seeking out for people that have mainly leadership potential, and your academic standing might just be a plus to you if you happen to meet that first requirement. Some others are even looking for people that have athletic potential. You are good in one sport or the other. So some of them are particular about just financial aid, just the fact that you can't afford, to study, and you are willing to study and you have the capacity to study as demonstrated in your application. They can fund you. It is majorly aimed at giving financial aid to indigent students. So don't think that because you don't have a very fantastic CGPA, maybe you graduated from the university, that you automatically are disqualified from anything called scholarships. No, there are different kinds of scholarships, looking for different kinds of people with different kinds of skills and all of that. And if you happen to start the process and you apply once, you get rejected, you get turned down, sometimes it's part of the application journey. Okay, I think I mentioned in passing that 2 schools turned me down, one without any explanation, one with an explanation of what I needed to do to make up my application and apply again. I never applied again. So if you get rejected, you shouldn't be discouraged that you now stop. It should rather be a learning curve for you. So you just learn, okay, this is what I didn't do well enough that made them turn me down. And then you build upon that experience and improve by the next time. And there are people that have sought a particular opportunity, first time, second time, third time, fourth time they got it, third time they got it, or fifth time they got it because they didn't give up. And of course, with every attempt, they kept getting better. So don't be discouraged because you were rejected, right? I think I'll stop there, and any other thing will come from your questions. Thank you very much. Yes.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for the information, for everything. You gave us the the information we need in detail, and we really appreciate. And let me start from the last thing he said. He said, if you receive love letters, please don't become discouraged like me. I almost got discouraged until I got the even when the admission came, I didn't even expect it. I was thinking it's another love letter that was coming. Sorry if you don't know what love letter is. It means that you are getting rejected. So they call it love letter. So if you receive it, don't feel you're not qualified or something. It's either you've not gotten something right that you need to get right, or maybe God don't even want you to go to that particular university you're focusing on. Or maybe there are some experiences you still need to get gathered that will help you to be a better or get a better opportunity. Or maybe you are entering into maybe a school that wouldn't have even, I don't know how to put it, but just don't feel that it's because you don't have the qualification or something that made you to be rejected. And then some people just go to apply to only high sounding schools. And then you feel that's just it, maybe because your result is so good. And like Ebe said, and I think Shalom also said it, don't feel it just stops at that's your result. Because even if you are getting the highest result and you don't have any experience or any other qualifications, I don't think you are even at any way high to compare to people that have experiences. Because I've heard of someone, either Commonwealth or the likes, that the person's result wasn't really that good, but because of the experiences the person had, even in the field of study and also in other fields, the person was able to get that particular scholarship. So people don't think it's just people that get scholarship are people that are too good. Don't Anyway, what do I mean? Not too good, because if you have experiences that are different from your academic, that means you're also good because there is something you have in you. So I mean, like, don't assume it's people that just have very good results that they can present. If you have other qualifications and people don't know they have qualifications, maybe you served in one organization or the other and you don't take it as anything, please start knowing now that it is important. Because one thing I've realized from this opportunity is that they look into what you have. They don't just want to know that, they don't just want to get people that are focused on just getting the grades and passing. They want to know if you can explore. If anything comes up during your course of study, can you diversify? I don't know how to put it, but they really want to know if you have other experiences, even if it is not related very well to your field. I think it's a plus to your applications. And I think Ever also stressed on what Shalom said also about okay, Ever said we should not just focus on LinkedIn or Twitter, looking at people. You should go deep and search for schools, but not just search for schools. Know what your school requires from you. Don't just dive in and start applying to any school without knowing the requirements needed, so that you wouldn't just go and stop halfway. Applying for scholarship can be very stressful. So you really have a lot of work to do by, first of all, researching what do you even want to go into? Which school have these opportunities? And don't just go to high schools. You are looking for waivers. Which school can waive for you? Start doing code mailing, which people will still talk about. So I don't need to stress about the code mailing. But start emailing professors, and then many other things they said. I hope we heard everything. I'm just trying to stress some things, and I really appreciate these scholars for this information they have dropped for us. We are really learning a lot. From the questions we have in the comment section, I feel I just want to say that if it is not question related to um, the country we are considering, you might probably have to leave it for till when people that comes from that country can talk about it. So you don't just be pushing the questions that they wouldn't maybe they can't answer, or maybe they are not exposed to. So they will be focusing on the questions which are based on UK, the country they are talking about. So the first question here says, I think that's Paul Atama. He said, in applying for scholarships with your first degree, will they still require your WAEC or NECO? I don't know. Anyone can pick the question. I don't, Jude, it's Uma. Please, can you mute yourself?
Okay.
Okay.
Shalom, you wanted to answer?
Yeah. Okay. I just wanted to
Go
say
on.
that most times when you ask for your SSE, it's just to check for English proficiency for most of the time. So you have the option of submitting your SSE result to check for English proficiency as opposed to writing the IELTS exam or doing the Duolingo test or any of those tests. So most of the times your degree results is, to show that you studied something that maybe is related to the course you're applying to, and so they can check your transcript against that. While your SSC, your WAEC or NECO, my school accepts NECO too. So while they do that just to gauge your English language and proficiency. Yeah.
Okay. I don't know if everyone wants to say something about it.
No, that's
Okay,
just it.
maybe. Okay, so I want to also add a question to this before I look at the next question. I want to ask, do you necessarily need to present a proof of a particular English proficiency, or you can also write something, or maybe write the school or cold email a professor telling them that you did so, maybe just write something to show them that you really you are proficient in English, or do you really need to send a proof to them?
Okay. Once again, it depends on the school.
Okay.
What they accept as a proof of proficiency in English. If they happen to demand the IELTS compulsorily, then you have to provide it. If they happen to accept alternatives, maybe the WAEC result, then you can tender that. If it happens that they accept other forms of other documents, maybe you writing, I don't know if it's going to be in form of an affidavit or something that you can actually study in English. But usually that kind of document comes from the school, the university. Even if your school does not officially have it as part of the things they provide to their students upon graduation or upon request, you can ask. You can maybe go to your HOD or the registrar or somebody that is an authority, maybe your department, maybe your HOD, or they tell them that you are making an application to a certain school and they are requesting a document that proves that you actually studied and you were assessed in English language and that you can take up graduate studies well enough in the English language. Just a write-up, maybe with a signature and a stamp that is official. But I don't think they would accept a document coming from you as an individual. So if the school accepts something like that, an official letter from the school can suffice, can be used. Okay. I hope
Okay,
that
thank you so much. I think you should. Thank you so much. Um, the next question says, please, can you send list of scholarships that gives you access to study in any country of your choice? So I feel this can also be posted before or after this seminar. So just it will be posted maybe after this seminar on this under this comment section. So just check it maybe later on. So it will be posted there. The next question says, please, can you state some documents needed for scholarship application? Please, can you state some documents needed for scholarship application? So anyone can take.
Okay, so I'm going to state the basic documents. This you could have some extras depending on what scholarship you're applying to. You need your transcripts, academic, you need your transcripts. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you, but your voice is sounding strange.
Oh my God. Uh,
I can't still hear you.
We can't hear you still, Shalom.
Oh. I think if Abel can take it, why we wait for her? I don't know. Is this
Okay,
something?
okay, no problem. So, the basic documents you would need, apart from some others that may be specifically requested by your school, are, like you were saying, your transcript, your degree results, your degree certificate, that is, or statement of result if you don't have the degree certificate already. Some schools may not even ask for it. That is the degree certificate. They may just make do with your transcript. Then you need to have your English language proficiency, either the IELTS or TOEFL or WIAC result or a document from your school, as we said. You need to have the GRE if you're applying to schools in the US, but we're not talking about the US today. You need to have letters of recommendation from your lecturers, or yes, usually it's lecturers, and maybe if depending on the program, they could request for recommendations from professionals you've worked with if you have work experience, maybe your boss at work that you worked under, apart from the academic references. So it depends, and it also varies. The number that is requested also varies. It could be one or two or three, depending on the school. In the UK here, it's not standard that it must be three. It just depends on the school you're applying to. Some will make do with two, some will accept even one, some will ask for three. So, but you need letters of recommendation. And that's, to emphasize a little on that, you need to definitely have good relationships with your lecturers and good rapport with them or any other persons that you want to write such letters of recommendation for you. Because it's something that shows you have good relationship skills with superiors or all of that. I don't know if there's anyone else. Maybe Shalom, if you can add some others now.
I'm sorry about that. I think passports, the most important test. Yes, you need your passport and personal statements. So most of the schools will ask you for a personal statement. Most of the schools. So even if you're not doing that in the scholarship application, you will need to do that to the schools, to your course, because for these scholarships that I mentioned, you after you make an application to the scholarship body, you have to also make another application to the school. So even if you don't do that for the scholarship, you might need to produce a personal statement for the school. And I think those are like the basic documents.
Okay, thank you so much. And I also have, I think, in my pinned post, both on Facebook, Twitter, and LinkedIn, I have the major requirements every country you need to have before you even start making any application. There are major requirements you need to already have. You can also check the last seminar we had. I think the speakers stressed such things very well. So just look into the pin post in my Facebook, Princess Chigoze, you will see or in my Twitter or in my LinkedIn, you will see some of these major requirements. Then also look into the school websites to know the specific requirements for each school, because each school might have there might be something that a school needs and the other school don't need it. So you know the specific requirements needed, and then you start. Okay, the next question says, hmm, please, okay, I think it's taken that. Please, can you drop the link to connect to people on LinkedIn/Twitter by the first speaker? Okay, we already said we will drop it
It's
on or
a
after.
automated sound system.
Please,
That
can you
first thing.
mute yourself? So we'll drop it on or after this seminar. Then another person said, can Shalom please mention the documents required to apply for the Commonwealth and Chevening scholarships, and if IELTS is also needed? Okay, so
This person that called me out. Okay, so I don't think it's not complex. In addition to these documents that we've listed, you need to fill out an application form for the Commonwealth Scholarship. So there's like an application form where you have the essay prompt. So you can write your essay prompts in like Word format, but you need to copy and paste them in the boxes available for like under this section for the essay prompt. So um, the additional document will be the application form that has your essays. Letters of recommendation are not even necessary at the initial stage. So they will just ask you for details of your referees. You just give them the details, and then later on, along the selection process, if you've passed through the first stage, then they will tell you to email your referees to send recommendation letters. So that's like later on. So you don't have to bother about that initially. And I think I'm missing something. IELTS. So this is dependent on the school. So for you to be awarded the Commonwealth Scholarship, you need to have an unconditional offer from your school, I think by July of like the July preceding September of your session, of the session you're applying to, right? So that's like I feel like that's like some time, because when the scholarship deadline, um can I continue?
yeah, continue. Sorry.
Okay. So the scholarship deadline for next year September will be around like maybe October this year or December this year. And you have from that time to like next year's July to get the unconditional offer. Most of the times the unconditional offer is just the English proficiency for schools that require IELTS. So it's not compulsory. Many schools will list out the documents they want. Some will say IELTS, TOEFL. Some will just ask for your SSE results. Some of them will just ask for like you have a range of documents, sorry, a range of tests you can take or bring forward. So IELTS is not essential. Some schools require IELTS, some schools don't require IELTS. So if you know you don't want to take the IELTS exam, maybe you could just streamline yourself to schools that don't require IELTS. Or if you really want to go for a course in a particular school that requires IELTS, I think you have sufficient time between you pass the first selection process to like when you're finally awarded to sit for the IELTS exam and write it if it is required by your school. I hope that answers your question.
Okay, thank you so much. I think also for the IELTS or any exam you're planning to take, I think you really need to check the last section we did last Sunday um on what Aisha really talked about it, and you really need to prepare for it because it's very costly. Like if you convert it to our Nigerian currency or I think other African currencies, you wouldn't, I think it's high for you to just go and write and then fill it. So you need to just have to study past questions and consult materials before you go into that exam. Thank you so much, Helen. Someone asked question on Germany. I'll just read the question, but we have folks, scholars in Germany that will come up and also talk, but not today. But let me just read out the question. It says, can one secure a fully funded scholarship to Germany? The person said, I think, that scholarship, etc., without writing standardized exams like GRE, TOEFL, and IELTS, etc. So I don't know if they can answer this question, but I know we are bringing up people that are already um, in Germany that have these scholarship opportunities that can also give us details about this when they come up to talk to us. Then also the last question here before I go on to the questions on Zoom. Someone said, please, I need detailed explanation on how to get PhD scholarship in US or UK without undertaking masters. So I think UK can start. Maybe I will talk about US, or I think we have Bright here. Bright can talk about US. So
Okay.
maybe okay.
Okay, first of all, it's not as easy that is in the UK now as it is in the US to get a direct track PhD admission or scholarship in the UK as it is in the US. It's more popular with the US, but there are exceptions. Okay. Certainly you would need to be someone that has good research experience from your undergraduate studies, which you must be able to prove from your research proposal and the way your application is packaged, and maybe your grade might also be of help. But in the UK, the more common trend, the more popular thing is that you have your master's before you do a PhD. Direct track PhDs are not that popular here, but I've seen one or two exceptions. But even for such, these things I just mentioned have to be in place. They need to be sure that you have very good research experience, and of course that you're very knowledgeable in your chosen discipline or the discipline where you want to do your PhD. Then I think you can go ahead to talk about the US.
Okay. So about the US, I would just say it's possible to get, and there are many opportunities. I don't know the person's field of study, but I know there are many opportunities getting direct scholarships from degree to PhD. And I don't really need to stress about it because we'll be having a professor and other people here in US that will be talking about that next week Sunday. So I feel I should just leave it. The person should just join the African Scholarship Pathway WhatsApp group or link or Telegram, and the person will get information on how it will go by next Sunday. But there are opportunities, direct scholarship from degree to PhD in US. I also know that majority of the ones I know are STEM related. I don't know about other fields, but I know when these people come up, you could also bring up the question by next week Sunday to know about these opportunities. But when I was looking for scholarship opportunity, I was seeing majorly PhD. I wasn't even seeing, it was few masters I saw. Most of the schools I saw was opportunity from degree to PhD, like most of the opportunities I saw here. So just join the section next week Sunday so you could get detailed information on this. Maybe you could ask the professor that will be coming or other beneficiaries of these scholarships opportunities that will be coming next week Sunday to answer this question. So I don't know if anyone wants to speak here to ask a question here from this Zoom, or should I just read out the ones here? Please, if you want to speak, and you're on this Zoom, please just raise your hand so I will just see you and call you out. Why I picked this question said, okay, please, do I need to do WES for my undergraduate results? I mean WES evaluation. So I don't know who is picking up the question.
For the UK, I just speak that language. Yeah. Anytime I've heard West is when you're applying to the US. For the UK, your result is like, I mean, it's the UK that you're okay, sorry, for Nigerians. So yes, like some kind of relationship with education. So I think your results are self-sufficient in themselves. And I also think
Okay.
the same for the polytechnic degrees, if I am not wrong. I think you don't need to do any conversion. It's the same GP skill and all of that. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. So I think for US, it's not really it's not compulsory. You are just doing it because you want to make your results come up. Maybe if your result is not really high, you're just doing the West evaluation to make your CGP to come up. So, but it's not like it's a must do because these things are also things that are very costly because I didn't do it and I know many people that didn't do it. But if you really think your results really needs to be high or upgraded, then I think you need to do it. It's a choice. It's not like school must demand it from you. It's you that want to do it. So it's your choice. I don't know if I'm not seeing any hand raised. Okay, Bright, I was calling you to talk before, but I don't know.
Okay, so yeah, I want to react to that, the West evaluation, precisely. So, but before I do that, let me say a big thank you to Abel and Shalom. I really enjoyed your talk today, and I wish we will be having you guys in subsequent time to give us, some of this talk, because our youths are demoralized when it comes to academics, and I really feel for our country. So anything that we can do for this generation in order to get things in the rightful direction, I think we should do that. So I really appreciate you guys joining us on this program, and I enjoyed all the advices and all the talk that you guys gave. So let me quickly react to the West evaluation. So West evaluation has to do with the country and the purpose. For example, if you're going to Canada for a study, you might not require West evaluation, but where West evaluation is something like I would consider a mandatory stuff is if you are going for Canadian PR, that's permanent residency, maybe you are going for job and you need your points to increase to be very high or whatever, so you need to do your West evaluation. So I also think for Canadian scholarship, you also need to do West evaluation. That West evaluation is much more prominent in Canada than any other place I have thought about. So I think that's all I have to say about that. So like Princess Chigozie pointed out, I think some of these questions might be left for next week, because I think they are more diversified questions than they are not constrained to UK. You understand? So today we are discussing UK scholarship. So maybe on subsequent occasion, by next week, we'll be talking more about scholarship in US and other places, if I'm not mistaken. And we will have a greater masquerade in the building, a professor. So I urge all the young guys, those seeking for scholarship opportunities. In fact, it is better they get it from the professor that is here than a student. You understand? Because at least he's an icon. He's an academic icon, so he's quite recognized. So I saw a question in the group, in the WhatsApp group. Someone was asking I don't know if I should talk about the question from WhatsApp group. Okay. So someone was asking if this if someone in third year is eligible or will be eligible to apply for scholarship. So I remember, this sounds so funny. I remember dropping a little video on my Facebook page last week. Was it last week or last 2 weeks? So because so many people have called me to ask me the same question, and I need to recap on that. So scholarship opportunities are not just for graduates, because you need to meet up some eligibility criteria. For this reason and for this purpose, you have to start, building up those eligibility criteria. Like, yes, I have heard people talk about, sometimes it's not all about high CGPA, you need a good leadership qualities, but then I can say categorically 90% of scholarship opportunities or given to the awardees are based on your CGPA. Every other thing is secondary. You only see fractions of those that got these opportunities as a result of their leadership quality, or maybe every other factors other than your high CGPA. Maybe you have a good research background or something. So those also counts. But in US, for example, if someone that got first class in a department made an application with someone that got second class lower with about 7 or 10 publications, you notice that these people are much more interested in that person that got first class than the person that got second class lower with so many publications. And sometimes this varies with faculties, departments, or the supervisor, as the case may be. You understand? So I really think that working for your high CGPA at early stage of your academic is as much more important as the scholarship. So I suggest you start on time. For those asking those questions, I suggest you start on time to build a very high CGPA, because you are in competition with other people, not just ordinary people, with other people that are very much intentional about what they want and where they want to be. So I believe if you're in third year or second year or first year, you have a greater chance of getting a scholarship opportunity than someone that is in final year or maybe a graduate that were never, or people that were never intentional about what they want, and they are graduates right now. So sometimes you notice that in our country, it is the frustration that pushes us to look for scholarships. Not really that we want to further our studies, but then most or some people try to seek for scholarship as an opportunity to leave the country. But this is not a general assertion. It's just a personal perception anyway. So thank you guys. Thank you, Princess Chigozie, and Ebel and Shalom. Thank you guys.
Thank you so much, Bryce. I really appreciate the advice. Please, people that are still in their even first year, please start building your CGPA, so you don't need to start thinking of maybe CGPA is being something that will hinder you from getting this opportunity.
Sorry, Mr. Chigozie, I started preparing for this, my scholarship, as early as my JS1. I am very serious about this. I started preparing from my JS1. The only thing I will tell you is that I never knew I would be coming to the US. But I knew I must leave Nigeria someday for a scholarship opportunity, right? So if you say first year, that's an understatement. If you can take the clock backward, if you can rewind the clock anti-clockwise and change the time, so many people in third year would like to go back to their first year to start preparing for the scholarships. And so many people in their first year that knew that they messed up in secondary school they would cherish to go back to secondary school to rebuild that very spark, academic spark in them. They would like to utilize the opportunities of, try to build from the elementary sciences or arts, as the case may be, so that they will have good background. You understand? I'm sorry to interrupt you. Just want to chip in this.
Thank you so much. Thank you. I really appreciate this. Really a big information and advice to people that we have people that are also in secondary school that might be needing, even if it is not maybe your degree you want to go outside for, whichever one you are planning to come outside for, abroad to study, start now. Start building your academic experiences, start building your CGPA, start even to build yourself, even as a science or an art student, whichever field you are in, start building yourself now and gathering those experiences or documents or the writing experience, whichever one it is that you really need to gather, start now. It's never too late to start early. In fact, it's better to start early than starting late. So I really appreciate these scholars for their advice and everything. Really appreciate. And we also, like Bright said, would also want to hear you tell us more things we would need to know about opportunities abroad and really appreciate. I would want to tell us of the update about next week. So, like Bright said, next week we'll be having one of our professors here in the US. I wouldn't be introducing him, he will do that when he comes. And we will also be having Bright. He's a PhD student here in the US also. And we'll be having Jessica. She's also here in the US, a graduate student. So, and these scholars will be guiding us through the effective self-positioning for graduate school. So, and there will be a lot of questioning and questions and answers. And I believe you will pack your questions to come by next week so you could unveil whatever you have about USA to this professor. Now I'm a student and I'm learning why studying. For him, he has passed through this process and he knows the do's and don'ts and the things you need to gather and how you need to go about it. So I believe you are planning for this program next week. We really appreciate the scholars that came this Sunday to unveil everything they have for us. And we also believe that at any point we need their help, we know that they are willing to help us. And really appreciate Shalom and Ebel. I want to thank you both so much for this. Will I say the opportunity to come and speak to us today and give us insight on the materials we need to gather and the things we need to start doing, the positioning of our minds on things we need to start doing now. And thank you also, Bright, for making us to understand that even whatever stage you are in now, start making up your mind and start making up your grades. Maybe you feel it doesn't matter, school na scam. That's the normal thing they say there. So start knowing now that school is not a scam and start positioning your mind to getting a better grade. So that it shouldn't be that you have experiences and maybe because of the school you are writing to and the professor in charge of that school might be looking at the grade you wouldn't know and it will be your grade that will disqualify you. So start gathering everything that will help you if you really know that you have it in mind to travel abroad to study. Start gathering everything academic wise, experience, whatsoever it is. And we trust God that one day you will be here to tell the story about how you got here also. Thank you so much, scholars. Thank you so much, guys. We really appreciate this opportunity and we believe that God will bless you all. I think the meeting will be coming to an end here, but I don't know if you guys have any final words or advice you would want to give. Any final word? Um,
Uh,
okay.
yeah, I'll just say, well done. Don't lose faith. Don't lose hope. Keep applying, even if you've experienced some rejections, because we always say you just need 1 yes. You just need 1 yes, literally, and you can take that bold step of having to um, leave your home country. And I mean, the whole experience, like you can't compare it. It's a valid, exciting experience. I mean, having to do your postgraduate studies outside your home country, the diversity, the variety, the levels of learning and all of that. You build up skills that normally you might not have. So just keep at it. And please feel free to send your questions, your wherever you need clarification. Um, I am on the Africa Scholarship Pathway group, so you can send your messages there. I'll respond to anyone I can respond to. And if you feel like you want to talk to me personally, you can also send a message on LinkedIn, or maybe just get my contact from like the Africa Scholarship Pathway group, and I will surely give as much direction as I can. Thank you so much for listening and for staying up to this time. Thank you.
Okay, Abel, please, do you have anything to tell us?
Yes, just a word of encouragement also. I think I should emphasize that maybe for the sake of the future, I'm very interested in what our experiences, whether academically or in terms of exposure, what they eventually how they eventually impact on the state of our nation, Nigeria. You know, in the midst of the current wave of the Japa phenomenon or the Japa syndrome that seems to be the consciousness or the next goal of the average youth in Nigeria. I think it's important to emphasize that yes, it's good to study outside the country. You can't, like Shalom said, the standards and the quality of education here is certainly much higher than what we have in maybe Nigeria or some other African countries. But then I would want to advise that beyond just the desire to leave the country, maybe because of the state of the economy or the poor state of educational infrastructure, there should be that desire to really, travel, study, improve upon yourself, build capacity, but with a goal or focus to helping the nation in one way or the other in the future. Whether you are mandated or not, there are some scholarships that, in fact, that's the basis on which they will even take you in the first place. There should be that consciousness. I'm saying this because I believe we have an audience of very young people who have very bright futures. We must be conscious of developing a culture and a mindset that ensures that in the long run, we are able to build a sustainable society called Nigeria for our children, maybe not ourselves eventually, but our children, or even for just those that do not have the kinds of opportunities that we have now or might have in the future. So please, it's very important. And secondly, to those that are undergraduates listening in, like Bright said, there's no better preparation you need now than to work on your academics, get the good grades as much as you can. It definitely gives you an edge. It certainly gives you an advantage. But then, if you are not an undergraduate and you graduated and you said you happen to not have performed so well in the university, there are things you can do to remedy the situation. All hope is not lost. In fact, somehow I like emphasizing more on such persons that think that they just can't proceed with graduate studies because they didn't do so well as undergraduates, because many of them have given up just because of that. So there are still remedial actions that can be taken. Okay, so don't give up all hope. And yes, I look forward to maybe coming around any other time as required. You can reach me on WhatsApp. My contact is on the group there. I'm not much of a LinkedIn person at the moment. I don't think I have the strength for LinkedIn yet. Okay. So maybe in the future. Yeah, but I'm on WhatsApp, Facebook, not that much, but WhatsApp, we can certainly communicate if you have anything that you would want us to talk about or questions you want to ask. So thank you very much, Princess, for having me. Thank you, Shalom, for a wonderful session. And thank you, everyone, for
Thank you.
Thank you
Thank
so
you.
much.